This is probably the most important figure in explosive welding, which talks about like the kind of joint interface morphology and the two major factors that govern the interface morphology. So the one side you have the collision angle, and another side there is a collision velocity. Okay, the collision angle certainly depends on the standoff distance and the kind of the explosive which is being used, and the amount of explosive which is being used, that you can say the uh, the quantity of the explosive per unit area. Okay, type of explosive and amount of explosive. So these are the three factors. Apart from these, the base metal thickness, okay, and the mechanical properties of the like say the flyer or the moving component. So these are the five parameters that determine the collision angle. How it determines, I'll explain that little later. And the collision velocity depends again on the type of explosive that is being used, and certainly the amount of the explosive per unit area. Okay, amount of explosive, and these two factors will be governing the speed at which the collision is moving at the joint interface. Like uh, after the impact, the speed at which the joint interface is moving for completion of the weld. So you need an optimum combination for development of the desired weld joints. The low collision velocity is not helping. Sorry. And similarly, the high collision velocity is also not helping. No, low. Ah, what is this? So high collision velocity is also not helpful because of the jetting and melting, excessive jetting and melting at the interface. Similarly, the low collision angle and high collision angle, these are also not the helpful. High collision angles are also not helpful. So, oh my god, you need an optimum uh, collision angle and collision velocity, okay, for development of the desired joint interface. So what is happening here, if you see, when your the collision velocity is low and the collision angle for entire range of the collision angle, but the low collision velocity, there is a no joint formation, but it is primarily the flat interface which is being produced. Flat interface is known to give the lesser joint strength or no metallic joining across the interface. But with the increase of the collision velocity, like say for a given angle, with the increase of the collision velocity, the waviness start generating here. So these are the kind of things which are considered to be the considered to give the best results in terms of the mechanical performance. tensile strength, ductility, toughness of the joints which will be developed. And that is why what we say, this is the optimum window for the explosion welding for very little wider range of the collision velocity and some range of the collision angle. It is very difficult to find out the values of these velocities and the angles, collision angles, because these are dependent on the section thickness, mechanical properties, amount, and the type of explosive, standoff distance. So there are multiple factors actually. So these need to be optimized so that you are able to realize the desired collision angle. Similarly, to establish the desired collision velocity, the suitable type of the explosive and its amount to be used. What is happening when even for the given collision angle, if your the collision velocity is going high and high, then interfacial melting starts. So that is what you will see here, like due to the excessive heat generation, the impact will be taking place, so the heat will be generated, but heat initially may not be high enough to cause any significant melting, but initially the melting may be partial, localized here and there, so that you can say the partial and discrete melting is taking place. But if the melting is continuous due to excessive heat generation at the interface, then this will be weakening the joint significantly. Here you may have a lot of IMC formation, lot of cracks, voids, okay, and these will be reducing the joint strength significantly. So maybe these are the three situations where little waviness, and the waviness with the vortices or the little jetting, that is still workable and gives the quite good results from the joint performance point of view. Okay. Now let me show you some of the details related with the explosive, what they offer and what are the common explosives we have, and what kind of there are three or you can say the two most common explosives. So the types of explosives which are used, the two are the most common. One is ammonium nitrate. Okay, this gives us the detonation speed. You see, say this is the flare plate, okay, like this. So this is the zone where welding has been realized. Okay, this is the section which is into where the welding is in progress, and this is the section where we have still explosive to be burned or to be detonated. So when the explosive detonates, it will be moving at this detonation will be happening at a certain speed, and that speed, the movement of the detonation front will be happening at the speed of 2 to say 5 kilometer, or you can say 5 kilometer per second, or indirectly 2000 to 5000 meter per second. But when the another explosive is used, which is commonly known as trinitro toluene, TOLUEN. This is commonly known as TNT, and gives the detonation speed even up to 7,500 meter per second. This is one aspect. The second aspect is the amount of these explosives which is being used, and the section thicknesses of the flyer plates. So if you see, if the flyer plate which is moving is very rigid, very hard, less ductility, section thickness is more, so it will not be moving that fast, okay, or it will not be offering you the desired, it will not be bending fast, that is the point. So it will be giving you the low collision angles. Something which is bending fast, soft and ductile, of low yield strength, under the impulse pressure of the explosive, it will be bending fast, leading to the higher collision angles. So something which is very thin, this will be bending very fast as compared to the section which is thick. So under the pressure of the explosion, this will be bending less, so leading to the low collision angle, okay, and here it will be leading to the high collision angle. The same is true for your amount of explosive, or your the section thickness, yield strength and ductility of the prime or the flyer plate which is being considered, okay. So this is one aspect. Typically what we get is the flyer or the prime member or moving plate that is moved under the effect of these explosives from 150 to about 300 meter per second. That is the kind of speed which is realized, and when it impacts, you see, when it impacts at the interface, it results the, like say, the pressure at the time of impact. So impact pressure is extremely high, like 10 to the power 5 MPa. But since this is acting at very thin layer at the interface, so the material at the interface will be severely deformed. So how it will be happening and what it will be resulting, you know, the flyer plate is impacting at the speed of say 150 to 300 meter per second, and resulting in the pressure of 7 into 10 to the power 5 MPa of pressure at the interface. So as a result of this, what will be happening, because of this impact, high pressure, high speed impact will be leading to the heat generation. Heat generation in turn will be causing the hydrodynamic flow of the metal, and since this impact is happening at a very high speed and the softening and the flow of the metal is occurring, so it will be resulting in like issuing or issuing the metal like interface metal like a jet. So here the metal moves like this. So at this, if this is the interface, okay, so the metal will be coming out like a jet at the interface. So jet, or you can say the spray of the metal, and then it will be covered or enclosed. So this spraying will be leading to the scouring or removing the surface impurities. At the same time, it will be leading to the formation of the jet like this. That is what you can easily see. So there are different situations. The jetting is one typical situation, otherwise it may be perfectly the flat as well. So what are the factors which are governing in, like as I said, the impact pressure uh, that is being generated will be the function of, so the pressure, as I said here, typical value of 7 into 10 to the power 5, leading to the jetting kind of action, and cleaning, and the perfect the metal to metal contact, and then metallurgical bonding. So this the pressure being generated at the interface is the function of the amount, or you can say it's not density. Density is about the amount of the explosive per unit area. Okay, per unit area that has been applied. So basically the pressure is directly proportional to the amount of explosive which is being applied, and it is also proportional to the square of the detonation velocity that is realized. Detonation velocity, and detonation velocity is the function of type of explosives which is being used. Okay, so the amount of explosive and the type of explosive, these two things will be governing the kind of the interfacial pressure which will be generated. Okay, so as you have seen that the collision velocity and the collision angle, these are the two important things which will be governing the interfacial the geometry, whether it will be flat or the wavy or of the jetting kind. Okay, so if you see the things a little more, what is the nature of the interface? So you just recall what I have just shown you here. So if you see the typical interface, it can be the flat like this, or it can be wavy, or it can be wavy with the jetting, and this is the real sample photograph where the jetting and the waviness can be seen. And as I have shown yesterday also, like the particular region of the jetting which experiences the peak temperature, like say this is the kind of jetting which is being observed. So the zone next to the jetting feature leading to the peak temperature, and this is the zone which will be leading to the formation of like IMCs in case of the dissimilar metals, partial or complete melting. Both are the possibilities, partial or complete melting. So if these you can say the pockets which are being formed, like say these pockets which are being formed, if these are small in size, like say 2 to 5 micrometer, just for example, here in this case, like say this is the scale of 20 micrometer, so this these pockets are of say 20 to 30 micrometer. These are very large in size. If you see say around 40 micrometer, 30 to 40 micrometer, so very large size pockets are being formed when the jetting is happening, and these are the melted zones. Okay, but when the pocket size is small, their adverse effect on the joint properties is limited. No, limited adverse effect on the joint performance. But when these are very large in size, then certainly there will be the cracking tendency, one, and the reduced the tensile load carrying capacity, reduced the percentage elongation. So basically the joint performance is badly compromised. Okay, due to the presence of these hard and brittle intermetallic compound, and the presence of the discontinuities and the formation of these partial or complete melting zone in the jetted region. Okay, another important aspect here is whatever is being formed, you see, in these pocketed regions, what these made of, what these are made of. Basically, these are, you see, the zone around these interfaces will certainly be deformed. All the metals in vicinity of the interface will be experiencing the effect of deformation. There will be high dislocation density. So in any case, if you just check the hardness distribution across the interface, you will always find that near the interface the hardness is high, while away from the interface it is lower. So that will be the case, that will be the situation in all the cases. But if the jetting is resulting in partial melting and lot of IMCs are being formed at the interface, then this increase in hardness may be significantly high, which may correspond to, like say, 200, and here it was 400, and here you may have 1000. So IMC formation may deteriorate the joint performance, joint capabilities much more adversely. Okay, so that is why the melting has to be avoided in any case. Okay, and one more thing, when excessive melting is taking place, then you may not have any jetted zone kind of thing. That is what probably I had shown here. Yeah, here you see there is no jetting. Jetting you can see in this region. This is just waviness. Jetting you can see in this zone, but when the heat generation is high, then all that region near the interface, which is of the low melting point, this will be melting and continuous molten layer is produced. So basically the jetting is absent when your velocity is too high. Okay, so this is what so as far as the joint interface is concerned, you may have the small pockets in the jetted material, and these jetted materials are basically composed of both side, base, or parent metals. So it may be contributed by both the metals, and that is why it is leading to the formation of the IMCs between the metallurgically incompatible metals. And if they are compatible, if they are soluble in each other, then certainly it will be forming a very good joint, because it will be forming the solid solution of the two. Okay, like you take the example of the nickel and copper. If you use them, then whatever is being formed at the interface is completely soluble in each other, and it may not be any problematic also. Okay, so that was about the joint interface, the typical features, and the kind of characteristics that will be resulted in presence of these different features. Okay, okay, so let me go through the so about the joint interface, like it can be flat, it can be wavy, or wavy with the jetting, or melting, interfacial melting, and based on that you will find the different kind of the joint performances. Okay, so can you tell what type of the joints are developed using the explosive welding? Type of the joints that we develop using the explosive welding? Lap joint, yes, type of the joint. So invariably, now either for welding or for cladding purpose, invariably it uses the lap joints. Okay, and these can be used even for developing the transition joints where you have one side aluminum, another side copper, or one side titanium, another side is steel. So those joints are also developed. So what about the kind of the things which are developed, like say the capability point of view, like say it is can be used for developing the weld joint area of like say from 1 square inch 1 square inch to the 37 meter square. Like in one go you can develop the joints or claddings from very small area of 1 square inch to the 37 square meters. Mostly, therefore, the explosive you need a very large setup for explosive welding, and that is why it is commonly preferred to use the explosive welding for joining and welding of the large surface area components, especially for cladding of the large surfaces. Okay, that is one. And in cladding we use the two types. One is the flyer or the prime component, or this is also known as moving component. Okay, the moving component it is preferred to be soft, ductile, and the low yield strength. It is good if it is so. But there are thickness limitations for flyer, not for the substrate, okay, or the heavy section component. But these are the limitation for the flyers. So usually the flyers in the range of thickness from 0.8 to 31.8 mm section thicknesses can be used for cladding or for the joining purpose. So this is about the limitation on the section thickness of the flyer, but there is no limit on the thickness of substrate, because that substrate will not be playing any role in the joining process. It is fixed, it is robust. Okay, so there is no limit on the section thickness of the substrate or the heavy component. Okay, so this is the another aspect. Now, what kind of the flyer metals can be joined? As I said, it is preferred to be soft, ductile, and low yield strength metal. So these characteristics should be there in the prime component. So any idea of what you can consider as a ductile or of the low yield strength or something, or the metal which can be used as a prime component, and what to do if the metal is not having those characteristics? Say for example, if you use say a very high strength and the brittle metal having the ductility just 2%, or the toughness is very limited, say 5 joule, then you will find that under the impact conditions from the explosive, the prime component itself is getting cracked. So the point here is, if the flyer or prime component is not soft, it is not ductile, it is not of low strength, low toughness, if it is of the low toughness, then under the impact of the explosive, the flyer itself can get cracked. So cracking of the flare is taking place, then your surface will be defective or it will have lot of cracks. So there are things like if a metal is having 5 to 6% of the elongation, or the toughness is greater than 13 joule, the metals having the elongation more than 5 or 6% and the toughness greater than 13 joule, those can be used easily for explosive welding over the substrate. Okay, I had said in the beginning, for explosive welding, for ultrasonic welding, magnetic pulse welding, your one of the metals must be soft and ductile so that it can deform and develop the joint. Similarly, here in explosive welding, the ductility of 5 to 6% and the toughness of about 13 joule is needed. If it is not so, then you will find that the things have got cracked. Okay, still if it is low, like say if for a particular application it is required to use the metal having the 3% elongation or 5 joule of the toughness, then how to do it? There is only way out. Anyone can suggest what is the way out? Use the low ductility. Yeah. No, because the flyer will be experiencing the music of the explosive, isn't it? The flyer, you are dealing with the two difficult things. One is the flyer, which is of the low ductility. So you are heating it, right? If you heat it, the heating is the only option in order to induce the ductility or improve upon the toughness. But if the flyer is not having enough ductility, then it will not be resulting in any jetting kind of action, any significant deformation at the interface, and you may be left with the unbonded regions, or you may be left with a completely flat bond, flat interface. So the problem here is certainly the heating is the only method here that we have. But with the heating, the problem is like you have to put over the flyer plate which is being heated, you have to put the explosive either immediately over it or above the buffer plate. So it is very tricky, no? It is very risky. In the moment if the explosive catches the fire, then you see this can be a big problem. So the thing is, this is the heating of the flyer plate is the only method to clad or to weld the low ductility, high hardness, low toughness metals. But you need to be very careful, and you need to take a lot of precautions in order to avoid any accident related with the preheating of the flyer plates and using the explosives in combination. Right. Okay. So these are some of the things actually related to the explosive welding. Lastly, I have to show you one slide which is related with like what are the different combinations that can be welded, or what are the metals that can be welded using the explosive welding. So here these are about like the kind of dissimilar combinations that can be done using the explosive welding. Okay, so wherever you have dots, those are like say the doable things using the explosive welding. So wherever it is not workable, so the column has been left blank only here, like platinum to platinum. So similar metal joining, platinum to the other combinations are also workable. So you can see what are the different combinations which are workable. Okay, so just have a look of this kind of the plot to see what can be welded with which metal and what will be the issues. Okay, uh, the carbon steel you can weld with most of the these metals with like zirconium, magnesium, certainly not with the cobalt alloys or platinum, but the gold, silver, then tantalum, titanium, nickel, copper, aluminum, stainless steel, alloy steels and carbon steels. So this is about like just to have the idea of like what can be welded with which metal. Okay. So that's all for the day. This is what I want to tell. In the next lecture, I will be talking about the your another micro deformation based joining process. That's the ultrasonic welding. Okay.